Good morning, fellow option traders. This is Jeff, and welcome to the daily scan for February 26, 2013. Today is Tuesday, and yesterday was a pretty interesting day, and I want to cover that before I want to just take a look at that chart before I get into the alerts that triggered yesterday and what I did about them, and how today, in retrospect, they might have looked pretty dumb. And just to illustrate for you that this is not an exact science. However, I am protected. I opened my insurance policy that I mentioned yesterday, so we'll cover that as well. So I guess you could say I'm hedged, and I think I'm hedged very well. So I'm not too worried about anything that might happen over the next few days, like for expiration of this week. Okay, first we'll take a look at the S&P Mini, at the futures here. Let me just zoom in a little bit on this one here. Okay, so take a look at what happened yesterday. We opened up a little bit, and things were looking pretty good until, if we take a look at the regular chart, until about like 10 o'clock, things started going sour. And the reason for that, according to what I read, I subscribed to a letter from iVolatility.com, and the reason explained in there was because of some elections that happened over in Italy. Surprisingly, there are two candidates that are effectively tied. Both of them, if I read it right, are pretty conservative, and they want to bow out of the European Union. And they are effectively tied, and I believe that there's going to be a runoff, or there's talk about a runoff over there. So that news came out, like I guess around noon or so, because I think they're 8 hours ahead of us. So their count would have been in, at 8 o'clock, they would have been starting with their preliminary reports. So that's when things started going bad here. And it started going bad for just about everything. There's not much that ended up the day good yesterday. It's just one of those days when it was a challenge to, if you were a bull, to be making any money. Except for, I think, gold made a nice move yesterday. Let's take a look at that. Yesterday was a pretty nice day for gold. So nothing like what happened last week and the week before, but at least it looks like as though it's recovering a little bit. And you might want to think about getting into some silver here one way or another. Excuse me, I think that, there's several ways to get into it. You can buy futures and stuff like that, but I prefer the real stuff. And the way that I prefer silver is what they call junk silver, or the pre-1965, I believe, coins. U.S. coins that are 90% silver. They're nice. They're under the radar. They're not reportable, I guess you might say. And that's all the more I'm going to say about it. It's just U.S. coins, and if you sell them for their metal content, that's different. All right, so what happened yesterday? Well, I got a frog in my throat. I'm going to pause here for a second. All right, I hope I got rid of it. Let's go over here and pop this baby up here. All right, so these were the alerts. We had Google trigger at 9:30, Panera trigger at 9:32, Chipotle trigger at 9:32, Salesforce trigger at 9:39, and Priceline at 10:19. I made some notes when I took a look at those. Chipotle triggered, and I did get into it. I didn't get into it exactly when it triggered, but I did get into it. You get rid of that. And let's take a look at Chipotle. See what it did here. Okay, so Chipotle, because they don't have a weekly on it, I selected a something with like it was a 25 delta at the time. So I picked my short at 310. So right now the price is at 311. So far we're okay with that. Let's look at the chart. And here's my short right here, designated as it's March at 310. So that's where we are. What got into it based on this now. The MACD is actually down a little bit here because it's a bright red instead of a dull red. So it's down a little bit, but that's really splitting hairs when you look at it that way. So we'll just, we got a whole month almost. Well, we got 3 weeks basically for this to mature and work out. But again, like I said, I'm not worried about it. All right, so on Google, I did, next one was CRM, and I did not enter that because it went negative. And let me just show you that. Actually, when I sat down to take a look at it, I didn't like what the chart was doing, and boy, am I glad I didn't. They really got hurt. They really got burned yesterday. That's a huge move. So is there something? Well, I can't see the news here. When I shrink this down for some unknown reason now, I can't see the news. Let me see if maybe I shut it off. Who knows? Click on the sidebar and I can't see the sidebar. Let's blow this up. Alright, you can't see the news. I'm sorry. I want to see if there's anything in here from yesterday. Well, they have earnings. For the week of February 25th. They have earnings this week. How come it's not showing up on my chart? That's strange. I guess you could say I don't know what's going on here. What does it say for earnings here on 2/28? So that's Thursday, and we're just not seeing it over here. I thought I had this set to show me corporate actions here. Orders, alerts, studies, time. Let's see here. Corporate actions there. That should do it. Okay, so here's their earnings for this week. So that's probably a good reason not to get in there anyway. So there was some pre-earnings news that came out about Salesforce, and it impacted them incredibly negative. And let's look here. Looks like it might possibly recover a little bit today, but it's not anything that I'm going to worry about. The next one that triggered was Google. So with Google, I did one that March 1, which is this Friday, and I did one that was a 50-50 kind of trade. And I just set my limit at $2.40. It was a little bit below that at the time. So that was really like an at-the-money credit spread. And it did trigger. If you look at the chart, you can see why it triggered. I entered it probably around 10 o'clock or so, and I think the entry point would have been somewhere around here based on the particular credit that I was looking for, and it did move down and catch it, and it just continued to move down. So now we are below that magic 800 number that it was playing with. So we'll see how that one works out. Like I said, I'm not worried because I have my insurance policy, and we'll get to that. MasterCard, let's look at that chart. Oh, we got corporate actions on here. That's part of the reason why I don't particularly like it. So let's take that, we'll shut that off. And we'll go back to normal here. MasterCard made a nice move. We had a little bit of increase in volatility, and now we're actually making some money on this, whereas yesterday I believe it was down a couple bucks. So that just shows you where volatility can come in here, and I think we got like a point or so on the IV here, and that helps us with this particular trade. And then Panera Bread triggered. I did not like that. And the reason why I passed on that was, let's bring it up here. I passed on that because yesterday I could only get 55 cents when I looked at something with a delta of 20. And I like to make a buck. If I can't make a buck, I'm not going to go with it. So I didn't, and I'm not going to go with it now, because now this particular strike at 150, if we look at this, a March 150, well, it has a delta of 21, so it's kind of starting to creep up. It was around 19.8 or 19.9 yesterday, and today it's at 21 because the price is moving down a little bit. So I passed on that one yesterday, and I probably am going to pass at least for the next day or so on any sort of a bullish trade until some sort of bottom may be reached. And I'm not sure what's going to happen here either. Looking at the futures, I can't predict today based on that. The last one was Priceline. And that one I also did a 1-to-1 or 50-50 trade on that, which is not working out well here, but you can see that I had if you look at the red number down here, 250 of profit and 250 of risk. So I call that a 50-50 trade. It's like flipping a coin. Go ahead. You think you're going to win, you might not. This also expires this Friday. So the situation for me this week is I'll be trading tomorrow, but I'll be packing, and I'll be on the road Thursday and Friday. So I'll probably get a video in tomorrow, but definitely not Thursday and Friday. And then Monday it's back home in the frozen tundra. I guess it's pretty nice today, actually. I think it was 40 degrees this morning back home, so that's pretty nice. Only somebody that lives up north would talk about that. Alright, so I digress here. Let me get back to where I was. The spiders. Alright, so did buy this insurance policy on the spiders yesterday. I did want to do like a 137, but I got in a little bit too late, so I did a 136, and here's why I did a calendar at 136. Okay, so if I were to, let's squish this down a little bit here. So this, between here and here is 2012. And this, from here on over to the right is 2013. So I looked for, like the previous solid point of support from 2012. And it's around this 136. So that's where I did this calendar, was at 136. So what I'm looking for here is, a move down here and a pause. If the market continues to drop, a pause in a week or so right here at this 136, and IV being, pretty high in that case. and being able to pull in some money, maybe have this white line move up to here. And we can do that by saying, let's move this to, let's say March 14th. Let me say the 15th, okay? And then click on this little wrench bar here, and we'll increase IV, say like 3%. So if we have a price here, as illustrated by this line, let's say that we pause at the 136, then that's $337, and that would, at that point, would be good enough for me. If this chart does what it did, and we'll just bring this over here. If it does what it did here, come down and pause, I'll be getting out. Or if it continues to go down and it doesn't pause as it passes through here, IV is going to be shooting up pretty good, and when it passes through here and it gets close to this 136, I'll just bail. I'm not going to try to get the whole $3,000 out of this thing or anything like that. I'm just gonna, as it passes through, I'll take my profits and reset these parameters. So that's the idea behind that. If it doesn't do anything, then I spent $390 for an insurance policy, which in my account, for the amount of money that I have, is 1% roughly, and that's actually a little bit less than 1%, and for me that's worth it. That's well worth it for an insurance policy. So I'll take a 1% hit for an insurance policy like this, and look, I'm already up $110 if I were to sell it right now. I picked April, May. I wanted to have enough time here to have things develop. I didn't want to go out any further than that because there's too much premium involved in it. It would have been more expensive. And when it does get to April, because the Spiders has what they call the 6-pack week, I call it a 6-pack of weeklies, and they, as we get closer to this April expiration, and if I want to do something like a roll, say when the April 13 gets ready to expire, I could do 3 or 4 rolls in here. I probably won't, but we'll see what happens when we get to that point. Just to keep the whole thing active, if you know what I mean. So I could keep it active until the week before this May 13 or May 2013 expiration date. There could be 2 or 3 rolls in there. So I have that option on this. I could have gone April, June. I didn't. That's too much of a spread for me and would have added to my cost. I think I'm going to stick with this one the way that it is and see how it plays out. All right, let's go to the A+ list, and there's really not much left to scan in that. I'll take a look at Apple. Nothing here. There's no entries on Apple here. They gapped up yesterday and moved back down. Apple's a wonderful stock to day trade options on or do anything on. I mean, it's just a fun stock. I'm really going to feel bad if they go down to like $100 or $50 or something like that, and they just turn into a regular company. I just really love Apple. But anyway, there's no entries there. Amazon, we're in. Let me pop this up here so I know which ones we're in and which ones we're not. Baidu, we didn't cover that today yet. No entries here. And definitely not looking good for Baidu. CF, Yeah, they're still not looking good there either. But no entries as well. Chipotle covered, CRM we covered, gold. You have to check my video out on GLD on that double calendar that I did. Google we covered, MasterCard. I don't think we covered that. Yeah, we did cover it. MasterCard. All right, Netflix. Yeah, we're waiting for something to happen here, so we might just get a hook on this thing today because the market looks like it's going to open up a little bit. Priceline we covered, and Panera we covered. All right, that's it. So again, just to cover my schedule for this week. Tomorrow there'll be a video. Thursday and Friday no video. Monday back to the regular grind. So that's it for today. Thank you very much for watching. Have a great day and happy trading.